When students graduate and the only thing they are looking forward to is to be employed and not to solve a problem or learn how to navigate through failures or create strategies that would transition them from where they are to where they ought to be, we have not educated them. We have just institutionalized them. Education must urgently transition from a transactional factory model that equips people for specific jobs into an experiential incubator that equips them for life. Some years back, a young man I knew, more of a family member, and other 40 young people, and a few of older ones were employed in a company that was thriving. All of them graduated with first and second classes of degrees, except for this young man. He had a third class. And the only reason why the company employed him was because he had a skill they needed. And so within their 8 years into employment, some of them bought their dream houses. Those who couldn't rented good apartments in the heart of the city. They had luxury cars. They were actually living the life of their dreams. But after some years, the unpredictable happened. The company went bankrupt overnight, and all of them were laid off of that job. Most of them could not handle it because they were not prepared for the uncertainty. While some of them sold their houses to start up businesses that came crashing within no time, others changed location because they could no longer afford their rent. They went back to the labor market. Now, this is precisely where our traditional education system leaves a person stranded. They were trained to be excellent employees, but nobody taught them how to survive without an employer. And so only one person survived, the young man with the third class. He realized he was sitting on an asset. And so instead of lavishing his savings to sustain a lifestyle that was no longer there, he packed his bags, changed the environment, rented a single room, and transformed his house into a service apartment. He did the daily running of that business by himself. He made mistakes, yes. He failed several times. But at the point of every failure, it was an opportunity for him to learn and re-strategize. After years of mastery, he opened 5 other branches, one after the other, and he diversified. And he went to employ some of his old colleagues that he knew were excellent at their jobs. He became their employer. He survived not because he had a degree, but because he responded to change. Now, why is this kind of adaptability an exception rather than the rule? Because our classrooms are designed to filter every good quality needed for students to adapt. And these days, educators make matters worse. They are not creative just because they see the teaching job as just a stepping stone to other lucrative jobs. And so they fail to identify uniqueness and they don't nurture it. Every single day, millions of parents and teachers look into the eyes of young people and tell them a well-meaning lie. We tell them, study hard, get good grades, memorize the formulas, and you will be guaranteed a good job and a secured future. But it's a script we have been reading from for over a century. And here is the uncomfortable truth. That script is broken. We are currently using a 19th century model of education to prepare 21st century minds for a world that changes at the speed of a software update. We are training our youth to be flawless instruction followers in an era that desperately demands innovative problem solvers. We have educated minds but neglected emotional resilience. We teach how to pass exams, but not how to handle failure. We prepare them for interviews, but not for pressure, not for uncertainty, not for relationships, not for identity, and certainly not for purpose. We leave them entirely unequipped for the messy and unpredictable test of real life. I heard a story of a sophisticated, talented hairdresser who knew his onions, but he was always struggling, always looking distressed. And one day he was asked, "Why are you struggling?" And the answer he gave was, "There is no work." And what do you mean there is no work? With all the women moving around with fancy hair, like my hair, and you still say there's no work? He said, yes, they no longer do their hair. They wear wigs. My sister is wearing one right now. But you see, two critical things surfaced in the hair industry: hair, natural hair, and wigs. And he was struggling because the season had changed in the same industry where he used to be a superstar. But he was not prepared for the change. Neither did he respond to the change until somebody else noticed it and called his attention to it. And that was when he went back to learn how to make wigs, how to maintain these wigs for people, and how to style natural hair. He created a new business for himself. And he had to rebrand himself and recommunicate his skills to a new customer base. Now, the struggle stopped when he responded to change. While there is absolutely, I mean absolutely nothing wrong with work, I believe we have unintentionally reduced education to something smaller than what it was meant to be. Education has focused too much on producing workers instead of developing the human being as a whole. Schools and institutions mostly celebrate the intellectually sound students, the first, second, third positions, highest average, first class students. What of that unique child who is excellent at nonverbal reasoning? The only one who gets to fix that complicated puzzle correctly. How about that student who consciously takes initiatives without being told? If academic performance tells us what a student knows, uniqueness often tells us who that student is becoming. And usually parents, they play a vital role here. They place so much emphasis on academic achievement, thinking is the only way or the only pathway to economic security. But I tell you this morning, success in life is more than academic intelligence. I didn't come up with this theory all by myself, but through experience of working closely with people from different walks of life: students, young graduates, individuals, families, my family inclusive. And I noticed a pattern. People struggle not because they are not educated, but because they were truly not prepared for life beyond academics. I was there. After school, after graduation, at some point I was stuck. No job. And I felt that was the only way I could make a living. I almost got depressed. And I was almost getting useless for myself and the society until my mentor taught me about identity and purpose. And I learned that you are the architect of your life. You must design it to live in that reality. And that was when I made a new turn. And I birthed Abishag Memorial Academy. Let's look at the life of our Nigerian retirees. Most of us seated here have them around us. While there is no definitive statistics on how many retirees go broke after retirement, evidence has shown that millions enter retirement financially vulnerable because they were never adequately prepared for life after work. And so after the 30, 35 years of active service, once the job stops, the livelihood stops. But today, I want us to consider a new perspective. Education must change its trajectory. Beyond the grades, education should prepare people for life and not just work. Because life is bigger than work. Life is identity. Life is purpose. Life is impact. Change in education does not necessarily mean rewriting the whole curriculum or syllable. It means changing our mindset. It means looking at the next generation and realizing that they are not vessels to be filled with old data. School should not be a place where you sit down for 4 years waiting for life to begin. It should be a place where you are already building, where you are already creating, and where you are already solving real world issues. And today, imagine if we intentionally infuse into our education system inquiry, adaptability, cooperation, communication, respect, resilience, morality, thoughtfulness, bringing real world issues into the classroom for students to solve, and creating environments where things go wrong, where projects fail, and they are forced to troubleshoot under pressure. I tell you, it will transform our education system from just producing academically successful students into developing a well-rounded, responsible, and capable citizens. And these goals will give students opportunities to be critical thinkers who will embrace change instead of fear it. It will help them articulate ideas easily. It will foster healthy relationships. They will persevere through challenges, and integrity will be a core value. And we will not see a generation of panicked, helpless individuals waiting for someone to help them. We will see a generation of innovators who will look at crisis and see blank canvas to be redesigned. We'll see people who are prepared for challenges when they present itself. We'll see a generation who can future pace by anticipating needs and creating solutions before they even arrive. We will see a generation who will stretch out their necks like ostriches, expectant and not hoping. A generation who will swiftly respond to change when it comes. So stop asking the question, what do you want to become when you grow up? And start asking, what change do you want to set in motion? I challenge parents, educators, leaders present here, that when you leave this room today, you go out there and create an environment of possibilities for every child, every student, every young man and woman, not just merely for work, but for them to discover their potential, to impact the world, to live purpose, and to change the world entirely. Let the fish see the possibility of flying, and let the bird see the possibility of swimming. Thank you.